Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an Airbus pilot, and in this video let's see if we can fit the A340-600 into runway 08 at Innsbruck, flying the famous circling approach. So here's what we've got in the magic box. We currently have the localizer DME East approach coming out of Rattenberg via Atwick down the localizer, and then we're going to fly this all the way down to the circling minima of 3,700 feet for us today. And then down here, this is our visual approach. From 4.2 DME Oscar Echo Victor, we'll make a left turn 230 outbound. Then we're going to follow these power lines up here until we rebeam the church at 3.5 DME Oscar Echo Victor. And then we'll make our circling towards runway 08. So this is probably one of the most challenging approaches, and I think it is needless to say that the A340 is actually a little bit too big to actually fly this approach. So this is purely a fictional scenario, as if can we do it? Nonetheless, it promises to be quite a challenge, and for that reason it's going to be a lot of fun to do, and that's the overall reason we are doing this today. So, just to have a quick look into the performance calculator to show you what I mean. Oh, you are not in Madeira, my friend. Here we go. So it actually tells me we're unable to land down there, both on runway 08 as well as runway 26, and even if we go auto brake high. Actual landing distances are right, fact that landing distance is not, but that's really this. So, promises to be quite an interesting approach that we're going to fly today, and let's see how this is going to work out. I'm going to start configuring a little bit early here, flaps 1, because once we're established on the glide slope, it's pretty hard to actually lose speed in the A340, and that is just going to make our life a little bit more interesting. Also important for you to note is that you're actually not allowed to use the ILS outside 10 nautical miles here in Innsbruck, so for that reason we will be using the nav and descent modes quite a bit over here until we have actually got everything under control. Okay, flaps 2, that is how I'm going to intercept the vertical profile on the final. And then we can set our altitude down all the way to the minima, 3,700. Here we go. So we've got alt magenta, 9,500 magenta. Okay, here's the famous valley that we're gonna go in, and then let's see how this is going to play out. In case some of you are wondering why we are not allowed to use the ILS straight away, the reason for that is that due to all the mountains around, the vertical path can have quite some interference and is not 100% reliable, and for that reason, even though it is indicated over there, we are not using it. We could use the localizer down here, however it is a little bit finer to say, especially in front of that mountain over here, to fly everything using the nav and descent mode guidance. Apart from that, obviously A340 not allowed into Innsbruck. I don't think we actually need to talk about that, as the runway is a little bit small, as our performance calculation has just shown. A final word over here starting the approach is that I do actually believe that in X-Plane it does look a little bit more impressive than it does in Microsoft Flight Simulator, for the simple reason that the auto-ortho terrain we have over here looks a bit better on sloped surfaces like the edges of the mountains. I do believe Microsoft goes a little bit more blurry over there, and I actually find it to look a little bit better in X-Plane. Obviously, once we get closer to the airport, MSFS gets ahead of X-Plane once again due to all the details you have when you're flying very low, but that's just my personal impression. I am, however, looking forward to read what you guys think about it, and which one you like better on this particular approach.
Terrain.
No,
Terrain.
no terrain.
Terrain.
Oh, come on.
Terrain.
This is probably the last approach where I would want to turn my GPWS off, but if the thing is acting up, then I don't think we've got any choice. Okay, so let's see how VNAV is going to manage this. Ultimately, I do find in quite a couple of scenarios in MSFS as well as in P3D back in the day, It confused itself a little bit by going into Alt Star, or Alt Constraint Star, and then back into Descent and so on. But look at that! Seems to work just fine over here. Also, we're approaching 10 miles, so we can use the approach mode very soon. Interesting, by the way, that the localizer deflection is actually off the managed guidance over here. Normally, they should obviously be right on top of one another. Okay, so over there the Mike Lima is the missed approach point, and that means by then we need to have the ILS captured, but looking at this, 12 miles out, from 10 we can use it, so we've got like 3 miles to capture the localizer and the glide slope, and that should be sufficient for us. Then flying the circling itself is going to be interesting once again, due to the fact that looking around is a bit of a problem. Also, this is captain's landing only, even though I would find a lot more logical to fly it from the first officer's seat, because you would actually be able to see the runway a lot better. But if they make it captain only, then we are going to follow at least that rule for today. Okay, approaching 10 miles, approach mode, and we've got lock, Cat 3 single, autopilot 1. Oh, interesting. We can't engage both autopilots. I mean, ultimately we don't need to, but interesting to note nonetheless. Okay, let's help it a little bit capturing that glide slope. Vertical speed. So, we're going to start our outbound turn at 4.2 DME from Oscar Echo Victor on a track of 230. Glide slope. 3,700 is selected. So that looks alright. I'm flying this one a little bit faster. Normally I would go final configuration over here, but let's make our life a little bit easy. Let's take things a little bit faster and we'll configure on the downwind there. So we need to maintain 3,700. Now in the larger Airbuses that is quite easy. We got the altitude hold button down there and that is actually going to work just perfectly. And we're going to press it 100 feet above the altitude where we actually want to level off. So at 3,800 we'll press that. Okay, that's 3,800. Oh, lovely. Thing doesn't want to take it. Well, then we gotta do it that way. Okay, Alt. And we've got the runway inside, so we can continue. Then 4.3 miles. We start the left-hand turn. Heading. So 230 it should be. Interesting that it didn't take the Alt button at first. I had a feeling it was actually inhibited here in the sim, but obviously it shouldn't be. Okay. So, we are now on the outbound track. Let's go ahead and activate the secondary flight plan where programmed landing runway 08. And that's looking good. So now we need to find these power lines over here. And I have a feeling, in MSFS we had them in 3D, but I have a feeling over here we don't. So we gotta be a little bit careful there. But it's actually about where the terrain starts to rise. So we are trying to overfly about here. This is going to be interesting doing this on autopilot. Probably we should take the autopilot off by now. And yeah, let's do that. Let's go, visual. Okay, autopilot off, track 080. Oops, hate it. Okay, 080. Okay, there is our power line. Can you see that? So that's what we want to go over. You can see just how tight that is. Okay, gear down, flaps 3. Let's make sure we maintain the 3.7. So down there is our power lines. So track 260, downwind. Oh, lovely frame rate. What are you doing, simulator? Okay, config full. Why is my frame rate going down that much right now? And now wait for it. When the frame rate comes back, it's going to fast forward us. Like now. Okay, that is obviously not supposed to happen. Okay, let's see what the cabin is doing. They're ready. Landing checklist. ECA memo, landing no blue. Landing checklist complete. Okay, so we are overflying the church pretty much now. So, starting the descent. Now comes the challenge of timing that final turn correctly. So at this point, the pilot monitoring would be very important. We don't have one today, so we've got to help us this way. And just trust the autopilot to do its job. Alright, down there is the airport. We are a little bit high right now. Let's increase our rate of descent a bit. And there it is. Okay, coming up on final, let's do 1200 feet a minute, maximum we're allowed to do in the plane. Checked. Okay, coming onto the puppies. That is one red, and then let's fly it straight into it. We got to be stable by 500 feet on the circling. So, 1200 feet a minute, looks good. And here we are, okay. So 1200 feet a minute is actually stable in the larger Airbuses. Contrary to the small ones where you got 1000 feet a minute rated descent limit, we are using 1200 on the big ones.
200. 100. 50. 40. 30. 20.
Okay, just slam it onto the aiming point. Okay, spoiler, reverse green, decel. $70 knots. Manual brakes. And here we are, welcome to Innsbruck everyone. So we overshot the final turn a little bit there. It's always a little bit hard to coordinate that correctly with the visibility here in Flight Simulator, but overall I tend to say it was a pretty successful approach. So, thank you very much for watching everyone. I do hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, do let me know in the comments below. Finally, if you like the video, do leave a like in YouTube as well, as it does help with the algorithms. And I'm very much looking forward to see you all again on the next one. If you're interested in more, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And finally, if you really love what I'm doing, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. In the meantime though, thank you very much for watching, and I see you all again on the next one.